Hi, it's Dave at AFX Search, licensed investigators in Palm Beach, Florida. Once again, talking to investigators and even potential clients about how the investigator industry is changing. There's a great deal of overflow from the public sector into private investigations. The other day, there was an article in the LA Times about how private investigators are getting many more inquiries and requests because of cases which can no longer be handled by law enforcement or the government. One example was in New Jersey, they lost 4,200 officers in the past 12 months, which how many of those officers handled certain investigations which now are just not going to be dealt with at all. Identity theft, petty theft, even burglary sometimes are now being taken as even a phone case or an email case in some instances, so that the police aren't going to really spend too much time or resources investigating these cases, but the victim still needs some effort to try to recover property, to reduce damage, or even discover the origin of the theft. The private sector market is where a lot of that's going to be picked up. Some may never be investigated, but some victims may need to have these things investigated to find out if there's risk of additional theft, risk of additional even harm or violence to that person. It's estimated that the private sector security and investigations market will be $20 billion with a B in 2013. It's a huge percentage increase each year, and a lot of that is because of the public sector law enforcement not being able to handle these cases. And it's no slight to the individuals in that industry, it's just that there are less officers available for these kind of cases, and they need to handle the urgent and critical cases, gun violence, armed robbery, and larger scale cases. Police are being looked at as the public doesn't feel like they are less effective in handling these smaller cases, so they're turning to private investigators. What does that mean for an agency or an investigator? Well, first, consider that the type of cases might be different. You may be dealing with the public more so than attorneys doing things like criminal defense or workman's comp with an insurance company. Be prepared to help meet the needs of the individuals. That may be looking at ways to match up a price and service that's doable for both you and for that victim. It also may be presenting as more of a professional service provider because you're dealing with an individual rather than a corporation. And this article described how one of the investigators that was interviewed had an appearance that made the reporter question what side of the law they're on. So when you're doing investigations, consider that the private sector is going to have to pick up the slack because of budget issues for law enforcement, budget issues for government prosecution to help solve some of these crimes. Maybe an auto theft where the person wants to get this car back. It may be a financial issue that they don't want to pay the deductible or have their insurance rates go up, and maybe that vehicle is important to them to get back. It also may be concern about that crime being personal to the victim. It may be somebody out to get that victim, out to hurt that victim, or some vulnerability in their personal security that an investigator or security expert might need to handle. So as an investigator, keep an eye on what that market is. That market could be changing. The needs that the public has for investigators might be increasing, but it's probably an indication that the way that agency needs to operate might have to adjust to meet that need and also to meet the expectations of the general public.